But there's a lot of things that I was doing because a good mom should and supposed to, that the second I freed myself from that and said, actually, no, I don't. Judge me if you want. That's on you. A judgment of me is actually a reflection of you. The second I let that go, I cannot tell you how liberating it is. Your first no is painful. Your second no feels a little better. By your 10th no, you are liberated, honey. You're like, what else can I say no to? This feels amazing. And the world doesn't fall apart when we choose to live in alignment with who we are. Actually, things just start to get really good when we come from that place.
Join me, 'cause I'm seeking sunshine, 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 I'm seeking sunshine.
Welcome to Seeking Sunshine, Do What Lights You Up, a podcast for passionate, creative moms who are ready to live their best life and be their full, lit-up selves while being amazing moms, because it's possible to be both. It turns out that you don't have to lose yourself in motherhood, and I'm here to show you how. This is Seeking Sunshine 2.0 because we are no longer focusing on the problems, but on the solutions. It's your turn to shine. Hey guys, welcome back to the Seeking Sunshine podcast. I cannot tell you how thrilled I am about today's guest. She is just going to blow your freaking mind. So I cannot wait to introduce Brooke Jean. We're going to talk about what it means to be unperfected, how to embrace the gold in your mess, and how to come home to who you really are. Brooke Jean is an MA, LPC, a licensed therapist, coach, speaker, and she is the host of the Unperfected Pod, and she's on a mission to normalize normal. She believes that life isn't perfect, but it can be unperfected, and she uses a blend of energy work, counseling, coaching, and facilitation to guide her audience to let go of who they think they are in order to create the life they've been waiting for. This episode is absolutely going to knock your socks off, so let's dive right in. Well, I'm so excited today to have Brooke Jean here on the Seeking Sunshine podcast. How are you, Brooke?
What's up? I'm so good. How are you?
I'm amazing, and I'm extra thrilled that I get to talk to you today.
Yes, ditto. It's so good to be in your energy again.
Oh, thanks. You too. I love watching you. I love hearing your podcast and watching everything you post. You are just like, your energy is amazing. And so I'm really excited for this conversation.
Thank you for saying that. That makes my whole world, right? We're just out here trying to resonate with the mamas. So when we hear that we are, that's like, it makes all of the work so worth it. It makes it worth it, right?
Yeah.
Even when you don't want to show up, or you're tired, or you're grumpy, or you're not feeling super magnetic and inspiring. It's like, those are the days when you just spit the truth. And there's some mama out there going, yes, that's me, or whatever it is. Yeah, exactly. We're raising the roof over here in case you're not watching.
I know. Yeah. I was just saying that. I was recording my intro from my other podcast, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm raising the roof. You can't see me raising the roof over here in my not recording visual audio podcast thing.
Yeah.
I'm a visual speaker. Like, I am always doing things with my hands, and I only record visual when I have interviews with someone. So a lot of the times when I'm doing my intros or when I'm recording solo episodes, I just have my phone out with my voice memos and I'm like not recording visual, but I'm like into it, which is why you can hear the background noise of like my chair moving and like things
You're like,
happening,
just
right?
assume this is a full body
Oh
expression in this
yeah.
intro.
Yeah. Which is like you'll hear me like hit my hand on the desk or like my earrings wiggling or something because I'm
I
into
love it.
it.
I
So I'm
love
all
it.
passion like all the time.
I love it. I'm
Oh,
here for it.
there's me. So I want to start with the name of your podcast because I would really love to center this entire conversation around that.
Ooh, the unperfected pod.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
I
And
feel like,
why you
yeah,
called your show that and the
mhm.
importance of showing
Yes.
them perfectly.
Yeah. So even when I just say the name of my brand, which is Unperfected, I feel like I can take a deep breath. It's weird. It's like it gives me permission. So the Unperfected Pod is an extension of the larger brand, which is Brooke Jean Unperfected. And the Unperfected Movement is really just about us as women, as mothers, shedding the shoulds of conditioning and social priming and remembering who the F we are underneath all of our roles, our responsibilities, our trauma responses, our good girl syndrome, our people pleasing, all the things, all the masks that we wear that we develop to fit in. It's about letting all that go, showing up messy, embracing the gold in your mess, and finding freedom in the messy so that you can create from an authentic place. Because I believe, at least my story was that I followed all the rules and I did all the right things and I went to college and well, actually, I got pregnant in college. So that wasn't necessarily on the bingo card for the family. But like I got the career and I got the 401k and I had the husband and I had the all the things and I was miserable as a person and so lost. And now once I kind of shed all of that and started to create from a place of like my true authentic soul's essence, life started getting more easy, life started getting more fun. I wasn't self-sabotaging and self-destructing and all the things. So it's a way to come home to yourself so that you can be who you were destined to be, so that you can impact your life, your family, your business in a way that makes a difference in the world. So that's what unperfected. It's embrace your messy, shed the shoulds, and find freedom in a life unperfected.
Oh, I love this. And what I'm hearing, what's my takeaway is that this perfect idea that we're all picking up on is really just what other people think we should be doing. That's what we've
What?
decided perfect means is doing what other people are telling us is the right thing to do instead of what we feel is the right thing to do in our own, like for our own selves. And there's a lot of other people out there who are all saying something different about
Yes.
what is the thing that they think we should be doing. And
Yes.
how are you supposed to do it? Like, which, there's gajillions of people. So, like, you have to, have your own methods of deciding for yourself
Yes.
what is the right direction and not
Yes.
listen to them.
Yes, because the keeping up. Okay, so I walk mamas through this exercise and the audience can do this with us right now too. Is like write down, brain dump all the elements to a perfect mom or a good mother, right? And I might say she's there for everything. She comes to every practice. She's nurturing. I might say she's passive aggressive. You might say she's a boss babe, but like your version of a good mom is going to look completely different than what I think is a good mom based on conditioning. But in the never ending desire of achieving some standard, we're making ourselves sick. So this was why I created this brand was I have two kiddos, one who's going to be 21 in 6 weeks, which is
Mhm.
blowing my freaking mind. The one I had in college. Guess what, guys? As a messy mom, I made him and he's okay and he's actually thriving. He's actually, you'll appreciate this as an artist. He is in college. He's a jazz saxophone major and he's currently in Cuba with his jazz program learning and performing music.
That's
Okay.
amazing.
So shout out Camden. But here's what I'm saying. I had that baby. And then 14 years later, I had my daughter, Chloe, who's now 6. And as a mother, I noticed the pressure of being a good mom had just drastically multiplied. So now we were doing all the same things as our grandmothers valued, but now we're working, and we're not just working, we're the breadwinners. And we're not just the breadwinners, we're still volunteering in the classes. And we're not just volunteering in the classes, we're still staying up till 2 in the morning to make gluten-free, dairy-free, dye-free cookies for the party. Like it, and we still expected to have a size 2 body and that beard, waxed off. So it's like the expectation was just growing. And so
Mm.
I saw this parallel, Karaleigh, of like the rise in the expectation of the modern mom paralleled the rise in her mental health conditions.
Mm.
So as a licensed professional counselor, I'm realizing we're drinking more than we've ever drank. We have more PTSD, we have more anxiety, we have more perfectionism, we have more panic attacks, we have more depression, we have all this. And I'm like, so in the keeping up, the trying to keep up with all of these expectations, like you said, which are just coming from everywhere, because you layer in social media and just the influx that the internet gave us of information on how to be a good mom. Like all of that and us trying to keep up is quite literally making us sick.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and I actually have, and this is blowing my mind because I actually have like a crystal clear example of this that literally just
Oh
happened
my
the
God,
other
tell
day,
me, tell
where
us.
so I have 3 kids with special needs, and one of them just is struggling with rudeness. I'm sure many mothers have struggled with kids with rudeness, and my response to this is pretty much just to ignore it because I see this time and time again from like you just ignore it and you just let them whatever, and it's sort of like you just become passive and you just don't respond to the negative, you only respond to the positive, and that's what's supposed to be. Well, then my husband comes along and he's like, no kid was hurt with a shoe, like, and he's going, because my husband's Hispanic, and he's going, okay, a chancla, get your slipper out, and I'm going,
You're going, we don't do that either.
I'm not gonna.
Not doing that either.
And
Those
I'm
are the
like,
two end extremes.
right. I'm like, we're sitting here at two end extremes of like what's expected of us from, as a reaction. And I'm like, I don't know that either of these are actually the actual healthiest reactions to this
Mm.
situation. And it's interesting to see how social pressures, like as a father, he's got all these pressures of like, no, I'm supposed to protect my wife who's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not being treated well, and
Yeah.
he
Yeah. And
struggles so much.
we have to raise respectful
Mhm.
kiddos and all that. But
Yep.
like you could literally hear 15 different theories
Oh,
on how
yeah.
to handle that exact same thing and
Uh-huh.
just get totally lost. But it's like at the end of the day, what I want to do is guide you home to your mama bear intuition and say, Carolee, whatever you think is needed here for your
Yeah.
family, that's what's actually needed.
Mhm.
And let's
Well,
like declutter the noise and get back to freaking basics here of like a mother knows best. Just
yep.
saying.
Well, and the answer to the actual question is that it's
Yeah.
gonna change
Oh,
from
that's so
moment
true.
to
That's
moment. It's
yes.
not gonna be the same. Like, at some points in time, that child really does need you to ignore him because,
Yeah.
and I think you'll really appreciate this, my favorite quote,
Hmm.
which I love saying because it's my favorite, right?
Yeah.
Comes from Frozen, and it's, "People make bad choices when they're mad or scared or stressed."
Yeah.
And we
I do. I do. I
right,
don't know
I'm like,
about you,
"I
but I
do."
do.
And, like, I want my husband to ignore it when I say sassy things.
Yeah,
So I want,
totally.
to
Totally.
have some compassion when my
Yeah.
kid is not in his right state and he's saying
That's right.
something sassy, like, sometimes,
Sometimes you just
right?
gotta let it go.
Right.
Let it go. Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let it go. But then there are some
Yes.
times when it's like, okay,
You gotta teach them.
we're gonna have a lesson here. So
Yeah.
like that's where the intuitive part is essential because it's about the moment and where the child is at and what they can handle in
Mm-hmm.
the moment and where we're at. And if we're in a place to be teaching from a place of love, or if we're in a place where we're like, no, I'm angry and I
Triggered. We're triggered.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and trying to create the spaciousness to like step away and regulate and then figure out like what you think is needed here. That's all parenting is, dude, so
Yeah.
hard.
Oh yeah.
It is the hardest and most beautiful thing I will ever do, but it is I feel like every day I'm just winging it through life. And I'm just like losing my and repairing and losing my repairing and learning and teaching and growing and facing my own dragons. Like it is the most like self-reflective journey.
Mm,
It's wow. And so to be expected as mothers to do that flawlessly and with only gratitude and such grace and such appreciation for the opportunity and never being allowed to have a moment. It's like that's not human. If we don't expect that of our humans, we can't expect it of the mothers either. Like
yeah.
it
And
motherhood is the most messy thing I can think of.
mm,
Right?
so true. And our kids actually need to see the mess.
Yeah,
They
they
need
do.
to see that it's allowed to have emotions, that
Yes.
because they're going to be mimicking what they see from us. And if we are bottling it all up, trying to be perfect all the time, that's exactly what they're going to try to do. And if
Yes.
they see that, like, oh, we got angry and then we apologized and then we tried to be better next time and we made a mess and we tried to fix it and we tried to improve and we, like if they can see the dance of humanness in us, and that's what they're going to try to mimic.
100.
So how can you show them how to be a human who's
Yes.
messy in the best way, not in the I'm bottling it all up, there's nothing that exists, anger doesn't exist, I'm just a wall
Mhm.
of perfect, that's not a thing.
Mm-mm. It's not. And you're absolutely right. They do what we do, not what we say. So if we teach them that we have real feelings, if we teach them about rupture and repair, if we teach them that it's okay to make mistakes, but we own them, if we teach them that we can tell the truth even when it's hard, they'll
Mm.
do that. And what's interesting about what you just said is around feeling feelings. I want to double click on that because I'm always trying to learn more about the healing journey, about the becoming journey, the spiritual journey. Like my core value is purpose, and in that is growth. Like I am just a growth junkie and I always have been. And it's because A, I'm trying to help myself along earth school, and B, I'm trying to, grow for my clients. And lately, I've been reading in books and like from all these different theoretical positions, right? All these different therapies, all these different modalities, meditation, breath work, different types of therapies, they're all starting to say the same, which is what we need to do is feel our feelings. That's
Oh,
it. But people are like, well, how do we do that? Because I don't know about you, but I didn't see my mom. I didn't see my mom have feelings. She was a bottler upper. And then my dad was either really happy and jovial and fun and playful, or really stressed or angry. He was like nothing in between. And when I got in trouble or when I was a little girl, I had big feelings because I'm sensitive and I know that now is a superpower, but growing up I was really sensitive. And I would get in trouble for having big feelings. And so I bottled them up. And guess where that led me? That led me to an eating disorder. That led me to a drinking problem. That led me to a binge eating problem. That led me to a spending problem.
escapism.
Escapism.
Escaping. Yeah, because you
Escaping.
don't want to have
Oh,
that
and
inside you.
perfectionism.
Yeah, so you're like,
Perfectionism is
how do
like, let
I
me
how do
just
I get rid of it?
achieve to not feel. I will achieve to not feel. So I want people to know that perfectionism is a trauma response because you don't want to feel. You want to be safe. You want to be recognizable, all the things. But
I
like,
just heard this. I have to say this. I just heard
yeah,
this in a
yeah.
Toastmaster speech, and it was
What?
so great. You can be addicted to setting goals.
Oh, yeah. Girl, because it's the
What?
same like
Yeah.
reward loop. There's neuroscience behind that. There's a reward loop. And so we get addicted to the chase, which is also why like people get really depressed after their wedding because they were planning in the dopamine, and then the big party, and then there's nothing. And their brain is like, what's the next hit? What's the next reward? And so if the task to be a healthy whole human is to feel your freaking feelings, well then my friends, we have some work to do because we don't actually know how to do that. Because they're messy. Guess what feelings are? They're messy. So when we can model for kids, I am crying because life is hard, or we lost grandma, or I'm just sad, or I'm angry. And, like when we can model, it's like we can start to show and teach them the same thing. But I've just found that really interesting that, like, as a therapist, I've always been passionate about feelings and moving things through your body so they don't collect dust and create problems inside for you. And now I'm starting to hear it from like lead meditation experts in the world and lead breathwork experts of like, we need to like, it's not another meditation. It's a sitting with oneself and allowing feelings to bubble up and naming them and acknowledging them and moving them out of the body. That is the thing. So, yes, we need to model it for our kids.
Oh, it is absolutely so much truth because you literally cannot move those feelings out until you first are like, what is this?
That's
What is
right.
this thing that is happening to me? It's literally the first step is acknowledging that it exists. Because if
Yep.
you don't sit there and go, I'm feeling mad,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the anger, you shove it down and you act on it without ever having any awareness that it was a thing. But if you first stop and go, wait a minute, something's happening to my body. I
Mm-hmm.
had this whole, I have a severely autistic 12-year-old, and
Mm-hmm.
I've given him the lovingly dubbed name L'Artiste.
Mm-hmm.
Very obsessed with paint right now, and he is painting up my whole house and his whole self. So his I'm calling him a vigilante instead of a villain. And his arch nemesis is my rental house, not me, but as the caretaker of the rental house, it's we're a little bit at odds. But so
Okay. Okay.
mask is just paint all over his face. And if you
Oh
were
my God.
watching this, I'm really dramatic in it. It's really fun to tell.
Yeah.
But so he's been painting over my husband's paintings, like taking canvases off the wall. And literally, I blink and I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
And like horrified. And like I walked into my bathroom the other night, everyone had gone to bed, and I was like, it's me time. I'm so excited. And I
Yes.
walked in
Yeah.
my bathroom and I was like, oh, someone murdered.
Oh.
There was red paint all over my whole bathroom.
Oh my gosh.
Husband and I are getting lots of practice at this whole like we're taking
Whoa.
our emotions are being triggered, and
Yeah.
it's a thing because I was like my whole cabinet was just splattered with red paint and the floors and like everything, and
Wow.
art's getting literally just painted solid blue over his whole piece of art. And then at the same time, it's adorable because my husband has been hanging his own artwork up at his office,
Mm-hmm.
and my son's very semi-verbal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he was like, art show, dad's office, and handed him one of his
Oh,
paintings. And it was like, we're gonna hang
wow.
art at your office, right, Dad? Except for with not so many words. And so it's adorable, but it's also like
Really hard. That sounds
very,
really hard and really triggering. And that's when it's like, there's a difference between feeling your feelings and processing your feelings and being triggered. And it's like teaching ourselves when we didn't learn those things
yeah,
how to know how to do that. How to
yeah.
do that. Because like when you walk into a bathroom and it's red everywhere, your human is gonna be in a fight, flight, freeze, or
Oh
shut
yeah,
down.
huh? And
You
so
don't have any choice,
mhm.
right?
And so for me to, I've been doing this self-work for long enough that I was able to, first I was like, oh my gosh, you murdered my bathroom.
Yeah,
Like it's
yeah.
been murdered there. And
Yeah.
I had this verbal reaction, but then I was like, step away. Like I have
Beautiful.
to like not to
Beautiful.
cleaning it up, not to screaming at him, not to, and let's be honest, past me or even current me, and you know that has happened. That's not a
Yeah.
non-existent thing. But in this case, I was like, I
I'm
need to
stepping
go,
away.
to
Mhm.
go elsewhere, and so I like went elsewhere.
Beautiful.
Like
Beautiful.
took a minute. It was like, huh.
Beautiful.
Like
Yeah.
it's late. I'm ready for bed. I'm exhausted. It's been a long day. Of course I'm mad.
Of course.
And isn't that you have to give yourself permission to feel whatever you're feeling because you're allowed to. I've seen this so many times, people going, "Oh, I shouldn't feel that way." What? Yeah, you
Yeah.
are totally justified in feeling any way you feel, not on acting on it, but to feel it.
Yeah. And when you shut down the feelings of anger or rage, whatever we've been conditioned is shameful, right? Too
Yeah.
muchness, too much, whatever. When you shut that down, you also shut down your capacity for joy.
Mm,
So you can't, Brene Brown taught us this. You can't shut off some feelings, guys. If you're going to shut off the rage, you're going to shut off the joy. If you're going to shut off the anger, you're going to shut off the passion. So what we really, and as humans, we're designed to have a full spectrum of all the emotions. And by the way, there's like 80 freaking something of them.
mm.
80. When you ask people how many emotions, it's happy, sad, and mad. They think there's three. Excited. They're like, oh, I thought of a fourth one.
I read
And
the
they're
book.
like,
I was
there's
looking for it.
84, there's 86. And they're like, what? And I'm
Brene
like,
Brown wrote a whole book on this,
oh yeah, the
and
Atlas
it's
of the Heart.
amazing.
The
Yeah, it's
Atlas of the
so
Heart.
good.
It's so good. Also, the Netflix show, if you don't want to read the book, she has a show. I don't know if it's still available.
I haven't seen it.
It's like a series where she's doing a talk about the Atlas of the Heart. It's so good. So good. Anyways, if you're going to shut down the feelings of, that are shameful or in your mind you've deemed wrong or negative, you are also shutting off excitement, pleasure, joy, all the other good ones. So we don't want to do that. We want to be a full expression, but you're right. We can't act on them, but that doesn't mean we can't access them.
Mm. Well, and I want to note here too that like you don't super have all that much control over your initial response.
Mm-hmm.
Like me
Yeah,
walking into
that
the
one's
bathroom,
automatic. That
right?
one's
I'm like
automatic.
walking into that bathroom and being shocked that it was covered in red paint. Like I have what my mom catchphrase is like, "Holy freaking crap! What happened to my bathroom?" Like,
Yes.
like we have our thing that we say
Your
when we're
brain
upset.
registered that as like a very dangerous situation,
Yeah,
basically, or an appalling situation. Did
yeah.
you know that it actually was paint right away, or was it look like blood?
No, I'm pretty sure I knew it was paint. It was
Okay,
bright,
but because I
bright
I might
red.
have had a trauma response thinking it was blood, like, but
Well,
even
and it's
so,
since happened with blue and brown, and
oh my God. I'm sending you so
Rebecca's
much
made
love,
our
Mama.
teeth test
I am
again.
sending you so much love
Oh,
because
so many
Lord
times.
help.
And he's trying to clean it up himself. And
Oh,
it's it
it's a
is.
lot.
It
It's a
is,
lot.
right?
It
But
is.
we don't have, all that much control over our first reaction. So you get a first reaction, like it just
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And then you get to choose your
That's right.
second reaction
That's
if
right.
you can be aware that you had a first reaction.
Beautiful. And you just step away and you collect yourself. And we're also afraid to ask for that. We're like afraid to leave the situation. We're afraid to say, partner, I'm going for a walk. My husband and I have a code word or a code action because I
Mm.
still, even though I teach people how to ask for help, especially when I'm triggered, I do not go to asking for help. That's not a response I have. So when I notice that I'm triggered, we have a code word that I can say that means I'm getting the F out of here so I can get it together because I'm either in fight, flight, freeze, or frozen. Or if I can't even access words, because that happens.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was
That
just gonna say
happens.
that.
Can we normalize that? Then
Mhm.
I go upstairs and I go into the room and I close the room door and I go into the bathroom and I close the bathroom door and I start running a bath. And the water running in my bath is an
Mm.
indicator for everybody to stay away from mama. Don't you dare go in there and ask her a question. She needs a moment. She's having a moment because the bath regulates my nervous system like this, the hot water. It doesn't do that for everybody, but it does for me. And the family just knows mama needs a moment. And I do, and I calm down and then I get out and then I can face the situation. But sometimes I can't even communicate with
Oh,
words.
I so feel that. So my same son, Joshua, is who I'm
Mhm.
talking about.
Yeah.
He is so he's semi-verbal, but what he really loves to do is kind of yell at me all day long. Like pretty much nonstop all day long. And I'm
Mhm.
starting to recognize this pattern of like after a certain number of hours of that, I just start shutting down and I can't like I my
Yeah.
brain stops working. And we had this thing just a few days ago where like my husband was like, go take a walk. And I usually would fight him on it and be like, no, you need my help here. And I couldn't. Like my
Mm.
brain was like, what's a walk? Like, and so I walked out the
Mm,
door and stood at the end of my driveway and I was like, I don't know what to do next. Like my brain
mm.
was blank and it was about to storm and there was all this lightning
Yep.
and like so much lightning and it just like drew me towards the lightning. So I just started moving towards the lightning and this I kept going. My brain came back into commission.
Oh my
I was like, I
gosh.
think it was, and it had been, I think it was Saturday. My husband works Saturdays, and um, so it had been all day at home with him, and he just
Solo parenting
yelled
him.
at me
You
all
froze. You
day, and I
froze.
just like after so long, you're just like, ah,
You
I don't.
froze.
Like my your brain just shuts off like it really will and like so those are the times when like you need like
A
and
code word.
yeah
Yeah,
you need
something.
that code word you need that
Mhm.
little push into self-care because sometimes we can't do it ourselves.
It's so true. You were in like a legitimate freeze. And like when you think about an animal in the wild going into a freeze, they fake dead. They pretend they're dead so that their prey doesn't think they're worth the fight anymore. So in that moment, your brain stops functioning, your digestion slows down, your heart rate slows down, your brain fuel is cut off, and you're just sitting there. And like that's a real thing that happens. So you're right. Like having like these are things that we should talk about with our partner when we're not in the middle of a trigger
Yeah.
of like what do we do to take care of each other, because there's also a really wrong way to do that. Like, you know, when your partner's really struggling, you can say something that makes it worse. Like,
Yeah.
why don't you calm down?
Yeah.
I don't recommend that one. Or that makes it better. That is like, honey, would you like to go for a walk? Like, that's something that I'll say to my partner and he'll say it to me as well. Like, babe, do you want to go for a walk? And it doesn't mean you're a problem, so get out of here. It means I see you struggling, my love, and I'm here to help. And I'm going to do it in a gentle way. Let me usher you to the outside world where they're not humans yelling at you nonstop,
Right. Where there's space, where
where
there's
there's
actual
breathing room,
clarity.
fresh air. Like it's amazing what a quick 5 minute walk around the block could do in terms of getting regulated nervous system, brain back online and back into your conscious parenting. But you're right. I like what you said around there's the initial automatic response, which is very deep in our like reptilian brain and our deepest part of our nervous system. It's like we don't make our hearts beat. We don't get to choose that initial response, but we do then get to step away and collect ourselves. And I think as moms, the fact that we're even having that conversation, let alone trying out these things, makes us really good moms. So the perfectionism, we don't need that. We need just the fact that we're like willing to try new things so we don't repeat cycles.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and it's amazing to me, like just the awareness
Mm-hmm.
has so much power in it. Like is it's like 90% of like fixing the thing is being aware that there's even a thing to fix.
100%.
You can just notice that you're having a reaction you don't want to have and take a step back and be like, I could, maybe I had an overreaction to that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it wasn't the end of the world. Maybe in here it would not matter. And even if you already had the big reaction over it and
Mm-hmm.
it's a day later and you're like, maybe,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
I could have responded differently. Like that's actually really powerful.
So
And you get
powerful.
kudos for that.
100%. 100%. And for kids, if we come back and we repair, it totally closes the trauma cycle or just the stress cycle that was created in that moment. Like if we don't need to like shame the living daylights out of ourselves for days and weeks and months. We just need to go back to our children and say, mama messed up and mama was really upset and it actually wasn't your fault. I had a reaction and I'm working on it. That closes the whole thing for them where they can then put it in a healthy file and move forward. And I think we don't do that, and then we shame ourselves, and then these resentments and hurts build with everybody involved. So we are going to make mistakes. We just have to repair and show that we're human. And our kids learn so much from that whole cycle unfolding, and it's going to continue to happen.
Yeah. And then the more that we do it for ourselves, the more that we are able
Mm-hmm.
to help them through the same thing. Like, oh,
Mm.
hey, I can see that you are having a reaction.
Mhm.
Like,
Yes.
instead of,
Yes.
yeah, it's so
My
powerful.
daughter asked me the other day, Mama, do you need to take a big breath?
Nice. I
I
love
was
it.
like, yeah, dude, I need about 40 with you not in the room. I didn't say that, but that's what I was thinking. But I was like, I've taught her that, like, when you get overwhelmed, when you get overstimulated, because I get overstimulated
Mm,
just every day, I get overstimulated. And it's hard for me to be conscious when I'm overstimulated. And
mm,
so when my daughter can sense that I'm overstimulated and says, "Mama, do you need a breath?" It's like I've taught her. Like the action is to take a breath, not to lash out or bottle it up, or it's to take a breath. And so, of course, my first reaction was like annoyed, like, how dare you call me out and tell me, how dare you therapize me, daughter? But my second response was like, I'm so glad that she knows that that's our go-to tool is a deep breath because it's always available and it's free. So,
mm. It's so
yeah,
true. And we underestimate how much being overstimulated affects us. So,
100%.
so much. So again, I have a Joshua who screams a lot, but I also have two other kids who are very affected by this amount of screaming, one in particular. And actually, just a couple days ago, I bought him um, gun range head
Headphones.
like earmuffs that like block out noise
Yeah.
because he's been really struggling with being patient with all the noise. And
Mm-hmm.
having these outbursts, and I'm going, I understand how this is triggering and how this is
Yes.
frustrating, and I want you to feel like you can block this out and you can feel safe and all the things. And so
Yeah.
I got these for him, and he was thought they were the greatest thing in the whole world because they're his favorite color, and he's 9, and he's definitely struggled with having a brother who's functionally way younger. His brother's
Oh,
12 and he's 9, and his brother's functioning at like a second grade level, right?
okay.
And so that's always been a struggle. But so he's got these headphones that block it all out, and he's going, "This is the greatest thing ever." And then
Mm.
we watched it yesterday play out when he was off in his room having fun, and he could hear Joshua screaming at me, and he brought me the headphones or the
Oh my God. See?
yeah, and he brought them to me because
Oh my goodness.
he and how much I was being overwhelmed by it. And it's,
Wow.
when we're demonstrating that compassion, like that's what we're teaching our kids is in the actions, not in what we say. Not when I say don't yell back at your brother, not when I say you can't scream back at your brother when he screams at you, not when I'm teaching in those moments. I had air quotes there.
Yeah.
You can't see that.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Yep.
it's in the compassion. It's in the actions.
Mm.
That's they're learning from our behavior,
Mm-hmm.
um, what we say.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. And think about the peace in that versus the disturbance of him getting triggered and you like everyone just acting from our more animalistic, like eventually we're all going to be screaming at each other, right?
Yeah.
Like that's where this is going. If we don't go option A, we're going option B, which is it's just mayhem
Well,
around here.
and it's worth noting that Joshua's screams are usually happy screams. Like they're
Okay,
happy.
that's good.
We're
That's
talking
good.
about happy stimming screams because he's severely autistic. So that's what's really annoying his brother.
Yeah, but it's still no right. It's
So
noise.
how do I let Joshua
Mhm.
be his happy self? And also, like, that's been a dynamic, and it's
Yes.
overstimulation is it's something that we don't realize. Like if you have a fridge or a freezer that's making a really annoying sound, but it's subtle and you just tune it out all the time, that can be like an annoyance that puts you on edge and you're not even realizing it. Like there's so many ways in
Mhm.
which overstimulation can be affecting you and you're just like totally unaware of it.
It's an energy suck. Like one of the things that I teach moms is how to protect what I call the precious jewels, which is time, energy, and sanity. And
Mhm.
that we're not an endless supply out here of time, energy, and sanity. And yet we're just bleeding out time, energy, and sanity all day, every day. And then wondering why we lose our crap at the end of the night with our families. And so I do have people go through like a real inventory of like what is stealing and draining your energy that you need to clean up. And that's a perfect example of like my refrigerator, not your kiddo making sound, because that is like not something we can just turn off, but you did find a beautiful solution. But like the refrigerator sound, you know what I mean? Like that is literally stealing energy from you in your nervous system to be able to tolerate that. Right. But same thing with just like negative thoughts that you're having, or relationships with energy vampires, or saying yes to things that aren't really in alignment with who you are and what you want. Like, let's clean all that up and stop just spilling out time, energy, and sanity so we can like use those precious resources intentionally. And so
Mm.
what you did by being resourceful, which is what one of our superpowers as mothers are, we are flipping resourceful, honey.
Yes.
You want it figured out? Ask a mother. She's the one. Who do I want on my team? Mothers. They're the ones. They figure things out. It's like, if I get this kiddo headphones, then I have one screaming, but I don't have two. And now, like, I have more energy. Now, if he gives me the headphones, I have more energy. Like these little things, these little tweaks actually like add up to big marginal gains over time, for sure.
Yeah, it's so true. Oh, this is amazing. I would love to talk about how you have your incredible business and your incredible movement, and you're
Mm-hmm.
doing all these amazing things as a mom.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like the age-old balancing question, which is so cliche and yet something everyone is struggling with.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How do I do it? I'm really intentional. I'm really intentional. And I've got this inner rebel. I've been like telling everybody that seeing Madonna in person ignited my like woke up my inner rebel. But really, she's always been there. It was like when the world told me I had to choose between a thriving family or a thriving career, that never sat right with me. It's okay if it sits right with you. It's okay if you lean really hard for one and that's you, like beautiful, beautiful, but I'm not going to do what's not authentic to me. And for me, being a mom and not having an expression that felt more soul driven was not okay. So I tried doing it the really ugly way of like being the single mom with the corporate career and like spending the one day I had a week in the classroom with my son. I did all that and that got me nowhere. That got me sick. And then I had like a big thing happen. I was running a really difficult target, super target, and there was a big community trauma that happened that affected my team. And it was that trauma that really kickstarted a whole change in my life where I was like, okay, I've done what I needed to do to provide for my son, but maybe it's my turn to do what I want to do. And now instead of being, in the golden handcuffs of corporate America, I'm going to leave this steady, stable job. I'm going to go back to school and become a therapist. And I want to be a coach because it's always that's what I did with my teams at Target. And I was like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to grow a kick ass business while getting married and growing my family. And I'm going to show you that it can be done. I don't have to choose one or the other. I can be a great mom and I can start and grow a killer business. And I, as a human, deserve to have all of the things that light my heart on fire.
Yes.
All of the things.
Hmm.
And work is a thing for me. Work is a thing for me. I've been passionate about work since my first job at 14. Like, there's something about contribution for me that's important. And it didn't matter if it was the drive through at Fazoli's or, running a $45 million business with 285 team members reporting to me and everything in between. I've always wanted to work. I've always taken pride in that. I've always wanted to be like, making it better than what it was. That's just who I am. And so as a woman, I didn't feel like because I chose to have a child in college that was going to be the thing, the only thing I thought it was going to make me even better at my work. And it did. It made me even better because getting pregnant with my son, like I was on the 10-year going nowhere, partying too hard, all again, said unresolved trauma. But getting pregnant with my son really got me on a healthy path. And so I became healthier, until I got unhealthy again because corporate America, perfectionism, not resolving trauma, all that. But it's like becoming a mother only I don't know if accentuated is the right word, but enhanced my gifts. But
Yeah.
I had so many outlets of that I wanted to share my gifts beyond just motherhood, and motherhood is one of my favorite extensions, but it's not the only extension. So I went back to grad school. I launched the business. I immediately 2 days after I graduated, I launched my business, and I had right out of the gates counseling clients and coaching clients, and then I had these women who owned like a branding firm who came to me and was like, "We don't really know what you do now." They had met me through this interior design job that I was working for fun while I was in grad school, which ended up teaching me everything about starting and growing a small business. I had the corporate background, and now I got to see what it was like to there is no best practice for anything in your own business. You're creating it as you go,
Yeah.
which is really freaking difficult. And you have to go build relationships to get clients, and you have to be a brand and embody it. And you have to offer a product and service that actually helps people. Like I learned so much good stuff from that interior design, but I met all these fabulous people in that. And I always had the energy of, I love making things better. I love making people feel better. And so they came to me and was like, "We're not really sure what the hell you do, but can you help our business?" And I was like, "Well, let me find out what the problems are." And so that was 8 years ago now. And I've just been growing ever since, but growing at a rate that allows the spaciousness for my healing process, which has been, you know, takes some energy. Let's just say that. My
Yeah.
growing process, which takes some energy, let's just say that. The raising of my first child, the having and raising my second child, all the things that also mattered to me, the hobbies, the friends, the music, all those other things too. And so it was cool because when I became a business owner, it was like, I know I'm going to be successful, but I'm going to do it in a way that honors the totality of who I am, not just one element of who I am. And there hasn't been like a rubric to success. There hasn't been a process I could teach you. We're all on this really messy, circular, wavy magic carpet ride to nowhere, right? But it's been really intentional of I want to help people. I want to help people in this way. And I want to do it on these days. And I want to do it in this environment. And then getting more crystal clear on who I want to work with and how I want to help and what I need to be better at my craft. And then getting even more crystal clear on the brand and all that. And so it's just kind of unfolded, but it's intentionality. Like I don't do all the things, I do a few things really well. That's the key. I don't volunteer every single Wednesday in the classroom anymore. Thank you to the mommies who do. I volunteer once a month now because I do want to be in the classroom to see, I love just spying on my children and seeing how they interact in the wild, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't make homemade treats for everything. I buy that from Target now. I don't worry about what size my body is. I love my body for what it is. I've just let a lot of things go because I decided that's not actually what matters to me. Like quality time is more important to me than healthy organic homemade meals 7 days a week. It's so I guess what you get to decide, mama, is what are the core values? What are the things that actually light you up? Those are the pillars of your family, not what everyone else is doing. Just because everyone else is making the gluten-free, dairy-free, you don't have to. Or you could love that and not give a crap about travel. More power to you. Like you decide based on your core values, what lights you up, and you lead with those at the forefront. And your family will get so much out of you being passionate about 1 to 3 things. 1 to 3. I am not passionate about the 97,000 things I'm supposed to be as a mother. I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm really passionate about 1 to 3, and I am consistent in those things.
Mm.
And therefore there's enough time, energy, and sanity for the things that matter most to me. But we get to decide what matters most to us and what matters in our families, not what everybody else is doing. And that is the most rebellious thing that we can do.
I love it so much. It's like you cannot do it all, but you can do a few things really freaking well.
You can. You can, like there's just some things that I am passionate about, and there's some things that I'm not going to pretend anymore that I'm passionate about that. I'm not saying yes to every single potluck. I'm not going to every single birthday party. I mean, our house does look actually really good, but that's not because of me. It's because my husband. But like, I'm not concerned about what the house looks like. It just happens to look good because he does that. But like, I'm concerned about a few things. And so then I have the energy for those few things. You know what I mean? But I'm just here to say it's been a journey. That wasn't how it started out. 20, I'm now that I have a 20-year-old, it wasn't that way in the beginning. I spent the first 10 years truly trying to be the most powerful and successful boss babe you've ever seen at Target and continuing to get promoted and promoted and promoted while presenting as like the bomb ass stay-at-home mom. I was trying to literally be both, but in trying to keep up, I would just get to the end of my day and want to numb out of all my responsibilities. And that's where the eating, drinking, and shopping came in. And I was in this just perpetual cycle of waking up, getting my kid to school, working my fanny off, coming home, being the best mom I could be, doing all the things I'm supposed to do, to then just take a sledgehammer to my mental health to cope every night, to get crappy sleep, wake up in a shame spiral because I did it again, and then do it again. And I did that for 10 years. And at 33, I had like a full blown, like, I burnt out. I burnt out of my corporate career at 33 years old. And I had to take a step back and go, what am I even doing here? Like, I wanted to provide for my son, but like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
More than half of my day is me doing things that I do not want to do. And that's not to say that we're exempt from doing some things we don't want to do. Okay. I don't really want to make sure my daughter brushes her teeth every single night. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I do it. I don't want to do taxes. I do it. So there's stuff I have to do. I'm not just out here living the glory days, but there's a lot of things that I was doing because a good mom should and supposed to, that the second I freed myself from that and said, actually, no, I don't. Judge me if you want. That's on you. A judgment of me is actually a reflection of you. The second I let that go, I cannot tell you how liberating it is. Your first no is painful. Your second no feels a little better. By your 10th no, you are liberated, honey. You're like, what else can I say no to? This feels amazing. And the world doesn't fall apart when we choose to live in alignment with who we are. Actually, things just start to get really good when we come from that place.
I love it. It's
Mhm.
it's about living intentionally
Yep.
instead of living by default in this world that we were, will tell you what to do all the time. And if we spend so much of our lives just choosing without choosing. Default.
100%. That's a true thing. We are
Yeah.
unconsciously living. Most people are living
Yeah.
unconsciously.
It's time to wake up and start doing the things that make more sense for us instead of trying
Yes.
to do all the things forever that everyone else says.
Yes. And here's where the tough love comes in because that's my style. Stop getting in your own way. Stop making excuses for why you can't work out if that's actually what you want to do. It's not what I want to do, but maybe it's what you want to do.
It's not what I
Stop making excuses for why you're not learning piano. Stop making excuses of why you're not quitting your job. You are the one telling yourself that you can't because fill in societal expectation and standard.
Mm-hmm.
And while that's a real thing, we also get to choose. Like one of our most potent tools in our tool belt is our choice point, our power of choice. So you're staying in that toxic relationship, you're staying in that job, you're not changing your energy or your body, or you're not going after what you actually want to go after because you're not letting yourself is a huge part of that.
Mm.
So, where are you holding your own self back because of what other people might think? Or because you don't want a burden? That's another one that I deal with a lot with moms is like, well, I can't put all that on my husband. I can't put that stress on my partner. I can't. I'm like, newsflash, they have no qualms doing it to you.
Right.
They're comfortable saying no and taking a nap on the couch and going golfing if that's what they want to do. Like no shade. They're out here guilt free. Let me just say that. Guilt free doing the things. And what I have found is when you give your partner a chance and you don't actually assume the worst in them, and this is not for everybody. Some people really are stuck here, and I want to acknowledge that. But what I have found is that when you just say, honey, I really think I need to quit my job. We need to have a talk. I'm so deeply unhappy. This is eating me alive. There's more for me. Here's what's been coming up. Or, honey, I know we're both really busy, but I got to go dance on Monday and Wednesday nights. I have a hip hop dance class that I'm obsessed with right now. Or, honey, I know it feels chaotic in the house, but I'm going to go for an hour walk. Like every time I finally mustered up the courage to just name the thing that I needed, every single time my partner was like, of course, go, of course, and behind me. And I was like, wow, I really worked that up differently in my mind.
What story are you telling yourself that's like not even the actual truth because you didn't say it out loud because you actually can't read their mind?
That's right. And we live in stories and assumptions. And again, like some people do have partners that are controlling and abusive. And so this is not for you. You're in a different situation. And I want to acknowledge that. There's also real things that hold people back, systems of oppression. That's also very real. And I want to acknowledge that. But what I'm saying is for so many women, including myself, we are not going for the thing that lights our soul on fire because we are telling ourselves a lie that we can't or we shouldn't or we don't deserve it. And that's where you need to step aside, honey, and do the work to rewire all that because your soul wants bigger for you. Whether bigger could be staying home with your family. That's what you want to do. Then do it. Right? Whatever it is. I think we know what we want. We just are afraid to make it uncomfortable for anyone else in the world.
Mm-hmm. I'm afraid to go get the thing that really lights us up and figure out what that is and to start living our actual lives.
Yeah. People are like, every time I'm like, okay, so if I were to help you claim back 2 to 3 hours in your day, because I can help you do that, I could find it just by looking at it over here, what you could do different. What would you do with that time? Every mom looks at me like a deer in headlights, like, I have no idea. I have
Here's a
no idea.
great suggestion. Take yourself to the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it is amazing.
Barbie. Go to Barbie.
Oh my gosh, I went to that was the first time I had ever gone to the movies by myself in my entire life was to go see the Barbie movie by myself. And it was like the greatest thing
Did
ever.
you not cry at the end? I was just
stopped. It was
bawling. I saw it.
so good.
Yeah.
So good. We just watched it like a couple nights ago, but it was
So good.
good.
To be by yourself in that moment, like how
I
powerful.
had this realization of like how much I spend our time going to the movies as a family focused on everyone else in my family and what kind of time they're having. And if my kids are disturbing everyone else in the theater.
Oh my God.
And to just sit there and watch a movie and just enjoy it. Like I'm like, I never do this ever. Like I'm always multitasking and you can't multitask in a dark theater. You
No,
can't
don't be the a-hole that whips your phone out either.
like,
Don't do that.
can't like be writing. You can't
No.
multitask
You're present. You're
in the
fully
theater. You're like
present.
fully present. Just enjoy it. And when you don't have other people to be responsible for, you're like, oh, this is that's my big suggestion is like just go spend 2 hours by yourself
Mhm.
enjoying something.
Yes. Follow the joy.
Mm.
And follow the things that like remind you of who you were when you were little. This is where the inner child work comes in. When moms are like, what do I do? And what's my purpose? It's like, well, what did you freaking love to do when you were little?
Yeah.
I loved to make people watch me perform entire Madonna albums. And I would choreograph them and sing them. And so now it shouldn't be a surprise that I love to do speaking engagements and that I do all of this online teaching and I perform. There's a level of performance to what I do because that's part of who I am.
Right.
I love to laugh and make fun of myself and just find the humor and the ridiculousness. That's woven into even my most serious therapy sessions. You better believe there's going to be at least one moment where me and my client start dying laughing because laughter is healing. But like, who were you when you were little? What made you feel the most connected or alive or like yourself? And if you're not sure, then yeah, go to the movie where you can be with yourself to ask a question, or go take yourself out to lunch and journal, or go sit in a park and journal. But don't do something productive. Just sit and ask yourself, like, what makes me feel alive? What brings me joy? Joy, somehow we have learned that we are only supposed to experience this little bit of joy and through our children only.
And you have so much, there's so much value in not being productive. Like we've thought that you just have to be productive every moment of every day. And it's like, there is so much value in rest.
Yes.
And rejuvenation and in just feeling joy. Like that's going to make everything else you do that's productive, like so much more productive, is when you've given yourself a chance to just be.
Yes. Yeah. And when we follow joy, we can tend to get into flow state too. There's like real science that kind of backs that notion, what you've just said. It's so important. But today's Monday, right? I like never know what day it is anymore. I swear to God. I started my day with a 30-minute meditation. And then I was going to either journal or create, but I'm like picking back up writing, finishing my book, The Unperfected Mama. So I wrote, and then I had an hour-long breath work session I'm part of a mastermind. So
Amazing.
it's not even 10 in the morning and I've had like 2 hours of self-care. You guys, I am not joking. I take this seriously. Like half my day is priming my vessel and pouring into me. So then the other half, I'm really intentional with pouring into the things that matter most. And that's why I get like the result I'm looking for. It's not because I'm do. That's what led me to my trifecta of self-sabotage. I
Yeah.
pour into myself and I make the time. Are there other things I could be doing as an entrepreneur? You bet. Are any of them more important than pouring into me so I can even function? I've learned over the years, no.
Nope. Oh, this has been so amazing. So as we wrap up, how can we find you? How can we find you and follow you and find you for coaching or counseling and all the things?
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on your show and for just always having a real conversation about motherhood. I know I can always lean on you for that. So on Instagram is a great place to connect with me at Brooke Jean Unperfected. Liveunperfected.com is my website where you can find the podcast, which is the Unperfected Pod. You can learn about my mastermind where I work with moms who are starting and growing businesses on how to find that beautiful dance of work life and family life. And yeah, definitely reach out and let me know that you heard this episode and share. I always love hearing if anything landed or any questions you have or any support that you might need. But looking forward to connecting with everyone for sure.
Thank you so, so much. This has been
Thank
amazing.
you. Bye.
Oh my gosh, I just have been thinking about this episode ever since I recorded it with Brooke, and I'm so thrilled that today is the day that I finally got to share it with you. These takeaways are the greatest thing ever. Like, they're so amazing. So we need to share them right now. Number one, the unperfected movement is really just about us shedding the shoulds of conditioning and social priming and remembering who we are underneath all of our roles, our responsibilities, our trauma responses, our good girl syndrome, our people pleasing, all the masks that we wear that we develop to fit in. It's about letting it all go, showing up messy, embracing the gold in your mess, and finding freedom in the messy so that you can create from an authentic place. Bam! What a statement that is. Number 2, when you shut down the feelings of anger or rage, whatever we've been conditioned as shameful, when you shut that down, you also shut down the capacity for joy. You can't shut off some feelings. If you're going to shut off the rage, you're going to shut off the joy. If you're going to shut off the anger, you're going to shut off the passion. As humans, we're designed to have a full spectrum of emotions. Number 3, protect the precious jewels: time, energy, and sanity. We are not an endless supply, yet we are just bleeding out time, energy, and sanity all day, every day, and then wondering why we lose our crap at the end of the night with our families. Go through a real inventory of what is stealing and draining your energy that you need to clean up. Number 4, your first no is painful. Your second no feels a little better. By your 10th no, you are liberated. You're like, what else can I say no to? This feels amazing. And the world doesn't fall apart when we choose to live in alignment with who we are. Actually, things just start to get really good when we come from that place. Number 5, here's where the tough love comes in. Stop getting in your own way. Stop making excuses. You are the one telling yourself that you can't because fill in societal expectation and standard. And while that's a real thing, we also get to choose. One of our most potent tools in our tool belt is our choice point, our power of choice. Number 6, for so many women, we are not going for the thing that lights our soul on fire because we are telling ourselves a lie that we can't or we shouldn't or we don't deserve it. And that's where you need to step aside and do the work to rewire all that because your soul wants bigger for you. And number 7, follow the joy. Follow the things that remind you of who you were when you were little. What did you freaking love to do? Who were you? What made you feel the most alive? I have actually quoted Brooke from this show a bunch of times since this episode happened because that's how inspiring those quotes are. I hope that you will check out the Snippet of Sunshine daily quotes because these need to be like in poster form on your wall. You need to take these into your soul. Make sure that you go find Brooke's podcast, which is the Unperfected Pod, and listen to it all the time. You can also go check her out on Instagram at Brooke Jean Unperfected, and go check out her website, which is www.liveunperfected.com. She is such an inspiration to me, and I just love her to death. Last but not least, go check out my website, KaraleigHarrison.com, if you want to learn more about getting a custom song made or speaking engagements or podcast coaching, all those kind of things. But I've also got the link for my Podcast Like a Mother course in the show notes. So you can find all of that stuff and more. And last but not least, I'm going to leave you with a song. And this one is a custom song that I wrote for an amazing podcaster named Coach Heidi. So I want to do a shout out for her to her podcast, Own Your Grit, because she is an incredible human. And this was such a fun song to write. Have an amazing day, guys.